Mike Portnoy, welcome to Hamburg. How's the tour been going so far?
Guten Tag, by the way. So far, so good. We've been on the road since July. We did Japan, then South America, then some American shows, and now we've been here in Europe for about a week. Did England and Holland, and now we're making our way through Germany. It's been great everywhere we go.
All right. I heard most of the other countries, the shows were sold out. In Germany, we're hoping for the best for tonight. You got pretty good success. Billboard charting on the 27th. Very good critical acclaim for the album. How does it make you feel like 3 years after the fact, and now you're back with flying colors, you're transatlantic, and now you have this very strong band? Do you think there's some kind of indication in that for you?
Vindication? Well, I never feared a lack of work or a lack of projects, and I never feared losing my fan base. I mean, I've always been a fan-oriented artist, and just because I've made some changes in different directions in my career, I'm hoping that my fans stick with me, and they seem to have. Even though everything I've been doing is kind of a different road, you know, Flying Colors and Transatlantic and Adrenaline Mob and Winery Dogs, they're all very different animals. But I'm enjoying spreading my wings and trying different things with different people.
Would you say that that has also had some influence on your drumming per se? I mean, you've also always done side projects, OSI and all the tribute bands, but now doing Adrenaline Mob and the people would say a little bit groovier, more groovy Winery Dogs. Would you say that also has made you a different drummer?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. No matter who I'm playing with, I kind of have to adapt to a different style. Also within the band, I have to adapt to a different chemistry and wearing different hats for different bands and projects. But stylistically, in terms of drumming, yeah, each and every band I have to kind of try different things, and I have different drum setups for each different band, so it's kind of forcing me to kind of reinvent myself each and every time. But at the same time, I still always want to sound like Mike Portnoy. I think no matter what album you listen to, whether it be Flying Colors or Adrenaline Mob or Winery Dogs, they're all stylistically so different, and my playing is different on all of them, but it still sounds like me. I don't think any of them are really that foreign to what, you know, makes me who I am.
Definitely, one can definitely hear that that's Mike Portnoy on the album. I was very happy to hear during soundcheck that you played Criminal. That first couple of bars where you set the tone for the rest of the song. A lot has been said about how you came up with the other songs. How was Criminal? Do you remember how that came to life?
Well, Criminal in particular, first of all, is unique because it's not on the worldwide release. It's only on the Japanese release. But it happens to be one of the first songs we wrote. We actually wrote the body, the blueprint of the song was jammed on, I think, the very first day we were writing together. And originally, the chorus of The Dying was the chorus of Criminal in its primitive stage. And then we ended up taking out that chorus, and Richie put in a different vocal melody. And but it was one of the very, very first ones that we worked on. And it's a strong song. It's, you know, it's not on the worldwide release, but it's still in our live show, and it's just as strong as anything else on the album.
It really reminds me of setting the tone for the song than when you played The Rover during the Ronnie Scott's show. It's like the first two bars, and then that's the rest of this song is really kicking it in. In previous interviews, you have said that you're really hoping for this to launch big because you think that Richie's such a hidden genius. Now that you've played a couple of months together, how do you see that coming? I mean, obviously there were sold out shows almost everywhere except for the two German shows so far.
Thanks a lot. Better late than never.
Yes, but how do you feel it's going? You always said that this is now going to be your main vehicle for a while. What's in store for the rest of the year aside from the American tour and plans?
Well, we have a month here in Europe, and then a U.S. tour that'll be October into November, and then we will resume next year in 2014 in the spring, And we hope to come back here to Europe by summertime to be doing the festivals and then some more follow-up shows throughout, all the different countries in Europe. But so far, it's been great. I mean, like you said, it's been sold-out shows almost every single night of the tour. So it's really been a great starting point and introduction for this band to all the people around the world.
Let's talk about your show days. I mean, in the age of social media, we are lucky to be able to follow you around where you are via your Twitter pages and Facebook pages. But what's your typical show day routine with an outfit like this, aside from giving interviews?
Well, interviews are a part of it. Every day is different. Some days there's nothing on the table and I could sleep till 3 o'clock and catch up on some rest. And then come in and sound check, eat dinner, do any kind of meet and greets that need to be done, any kind of press that needs to be done. Then we do the show, and then it's time to relax after the show. And usually for me, I go watch movies or TV shows or things like that. It's different every day, though. I mean, tomorrow in Berlin, I have a full day of press all day long. Today I had to do some vocal overdubs on something that I was working on. So me and our sound man set up a little kind of studio in the dressing room, and I did some singing for that. So every day's different, though. But like you said, I'm very active on my Twitter, so you can constantly see what's going on.
And do you still, I don't mean that in disrespect to this kind of music, but for these shows, do you still warm up for, half an hour or an hour like you did maybe in earlier times?
Different gigs require different routines. I mean, with Dream Theater or, Avenged Sevenfold or whatever, when it's a big rock show and it's more physically demanding and a little more technical, I always need to warm up for a good half hour just to get the muscles going and the blood flowing. This gig, for me, is drumming-wise, it's a lot easier. It's not as heavy and aggressive and fast. It's more groove-oriented. So to be honest, I need a little less warm-up time. And if anything, my vocals need more warming up. There's a lot of singing in this band. Also, it was the same for me with Transatlantic and Flying Colors. I do a lot of singing in those bands. So it's actually, I find in gigs like this and those, I need more vocal warm-up than I do drumming warm-up.
Now that you are in so many projects, and some of you mentioned already, Transatlantic and Flying Colors and the Winery Dogs, how does your drum memory work? Because, for example, the Momentum tour was 3 hours, including the Neil Morse tour. But there's so many songs, and they're not like 3-minute pop songs where you can just improvise anything. How does your memory work to do all that?
I'm very lucky to have an elephant's memory. Like, for instance, after this European tour, I'm going to play 4 shows with Neil Morse in Israel, Greece, and Poland. And I'm not even rehearsing for those. I mean, I have to have a 3-hour show ready to go in the back of my head at any given moment. And I've done that before. There's been some times like last year where I was doing gigs with the Metal Masters, Big Elf, Fate's Warning, and Adrenaline Mob all within 1 week. And then 2 years ago I did a weekend where I did gigs with Dream Theater, Avenged Sevenfold, and Transatlantic in 1 week. So I'm very lucky to have this kind of memory bank that it's all stored there. I mean, if I had to play a gig with any of the bands that I've ever played with, I could go do it right now without even having to listen to the songs or practice.
All right, so you don't even listen to the songs on the flight there? Okay.
No.
Interesting. I would say not only are you very active or an early adopter of many of the social media things, and you had your own website very early on, but you also 2002, I think, was the 10 Degrees of Turbulent Drumming. That's like 2 years after the Napster verdict. You started basically monetize or coming up with your own revenues in addition to just releasing records. Where does that business sense come from? How did you come up with that?
To be honest with you, it's not a business sense. And this sounds like I'm just saying this, but to me, it's not about the money. That's the God's honest truth. To me, it's just, I'm a fan-friendly artist. I want to feed the fans the way that I like to be fed from my favorite bands. So me doing drum cam DVDs or fan club CDs or all the official bootlegs I did with Dream Theater, to me that wasn't a monetary, a way to create more income. To me that was a way to feed the fan base. And I do those projects and all these extra things just because I like to document my career and my drumming and the tours and the recording sessions, and just offer as much as possible to the fans that are interested. There's some people that don't buy all the extra stuff, but there are people like me that do want as much as possible from the bands that they like. So I'm just doing that to give to the fans, for the people that want more.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And I'm hoping to speak for everybody that we're very thankful that you're doing that. Was there like a role model for that? Like, because you said that you would want that as a fan yourself, but who was a role model for that?
I think Lars Ulrich is a good example of somebody that, ironically, after you mentioned Napster, but Napster aside, I think Lars was the sort of guy and the sort of personality and band leader that always made sure Metallica did special shows with special set lists. I mean, good example is they did those 30th anniversary shows a couple of years ago, and they did 4 nights with no repeated songs other than the encore. So he's always done that, with different set lists and different bootlegs and different fan club products and things like that. So that's one. I could probably give you several examples, but he's definitely somebody that for me was a bit of a role model on all the really cool things you could do with running a band and offering special things to the fans.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I want to quote one of the reviews I read for the album, because I think it's it's a good summary. It says here, because you're labeled as a supergroup, the Winery Dogs, being with you and Billy Sheehan and Richie Kotzen. And it said here, supergroups are often an excuse for adult musicians to live out their boyhood fantasies. And then there's a couple of bands quoted where that seems to be the case. And it says about the Winery Dogs, the Winery Dogs instead aren't an homage, but a current proposition that sits comfortably in 2013.
What the hell any of that means?
Well, okay, so it says here, Black Country Communion wanted to be Deep Purple, and the them Crooked Vultures trying to be a little bit Led Zeppelin, even having John Paul Jones in there. But you're not doing that with the Winery Dogs, but instead you are like a clean slate, right, and coming up with your own music.
There's nobody that we really modeled this band after. We just happened to be 3 guys with individual histories that we thought would make a good combination of players and writers. But to be honest, we never discussed style or direction before we started. We showed up in the room. We just knew we wanted to be a power trio. We knew we knew the format we wanted. Guitar, bass, and drums with all 3 singing, Richie being the lead vocalist. But that was all we knew. We didn't know stylistically where we would go, or we didn't say, well, let's try to be like Led Zeppelin or Deep Purple, or, we didn't model ourselves after any existing band or sound. We just started playing, and this album is what just naturally came out of us.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the touring plans. Do you jam at the sound checks, or do you have any plans for a follow-up album already?
We have no plans for a follow-up album. I mean, obviously we plan on doing one. We plan on doing many albums. We don't view this as a one-off project. We view this as an ongoing band. So obviously we plan on many albums, but we don't have any kind of schedule or timetable for that right now. Our focus is touring as much as we can, and we plan on touring through 2014. And then when it seems we've exhausted all touring possibilities, then we'll regroup and do another album.
All right, cool. Thanks for taking the time. I hope Hamburg is going to be able to fill the room tonight, and good luck with all the rest of the tour and your other projects. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Dankeschön.